to do a bunch of these walks before COVID, and then when we stopped, and then we started them up again in June. So once a month. Marshfield has a bunch of trails. A bunch means probably 25 trails right now. All scattered all over town, from the south end of town to the north end of town. And each trail is a little different on what it has for characteristics and topography and history with it. I like this. This is, of course, almost every trail is my favorite trail. But this one has a lot of history to it, and old-time history and newer-time history. And we'll kind of fill you in on some of that stuff as we go. Our ambassadors are, we have about almost 60 now that we email each Monday and let them know where we're going to go work at. So it's a group of mostly 60 or older. We like it when Scott comes with us because he brings down our age ratio, you know? So that's very nice. And we go out once a week for a couple hours, and we're at the Paul Bunyan's, you know. We do some of the maintenance and trimming and outreach for people to know about the trails. This is something new that we started to put at the trails when we do our walks or do some work, and it's worked a bunch of times. People have come down from Caroline Hill, reservation by Ames Way, and they said, I saw the sign. You guys are those people. I'm like, we kind of put them up 6 or 8 feet high. So in 2 events. One, if we get a lot of snow, we can still see them. 2, if people like to take them as souvenirs, they have to work a little bit harder for them. Yeah. And we've been putting up these no hunting signs on the town conservation land. It's posted no hunting, and that doesn't mean that no one's hunting, but it's posted. It's the site of Daniel Webster's last speech, and Cherry Hill. And Daniel Webster, his estate was about 1,400 acres. So every place you look around here was his property, and he brought trees over here. He was a great farmer and tested new methods to grow new strands of apples and berries and he lived in the house. The house across is burnt down. The original house burnt down, and there was a new one that was built in the late 1800s. And Daniel Webster lived in Marshfield for the last 20 years of his life. He was the statesman, and a lot of history with him. And when he passed, he wanted to be buried in Marshfield. So he could have had a state funeral and could have been in the down in D.C. in the cemetery down there, but he loved Marshfield and wanted to be here, and so that's where he was. And when people came to pay their respects, they came by boat because there was not a dike here, and Wharf Creek was a passageway that boats would sail up here, or they came by foot or by train. The train went on the other side, so it was pretty unique. If we went out this path right here, and you can see it when we walk by, this is the 3 baseball fields, rec 1, 2, and 3. And when we come back, we're making a loop. We'll go out that way. So And if I start leading that way, say, hey, no, Ned, we're supposed to go this way.
We're going anyway.
We can all use some help. I know I can. Back in the day, when Marshfield was a big farming community, when the farmers were looking to make their land available, they'd run into all these rocks. So all these rocks is how you got all these stone walls, because it was easier to drag them a little bit, and then they could make them as boundaries as well, but not only for animals, but for who's ever living there. This one has a yellow marker, yeah, right in front. So the next time you look at the map, you'll see there's a yellow trail extension. This goes up and down and around, crosses a little bit of a stream, and then it comes up at the top of Adeline Way, Adeline Phillips Way, which if you're driving on Webster Street, you'll see it. When Audubon would have their bird count during the winter, this was a prime spot for people to come to bird. You see wood ducks here and mallards and all kinds of geese, but everything's filling in, and eventually it'll turn into woodlands again. So this was an old roadbed. Back in the late 1800s, Walton Hall, who purchased the house, they lived there, they established the Cranberry Bogs. So these pathways were for the trucks and vehicles to get around. You'll see some little ponds on either side as they had irrigation areas for the berries. Yeah.
So this is Slaughter Island?
This is Slaughter Island.
Oh, thank you.
Not much of an island, is it?
It is not. But in the parking lot, so speaking of Slaughter Island, in the parking lot where some of us may have parked, there was an old, back in the late 60s, the J.C.'s built a recreation building there. And one of their fundraisers that they had was Halloween walks, spooky. So in the cellar, they had all these signs and flashing lights and so forth. They would bring the kids out here. Some of the JC members maybe got a little overboard. They would come out of the water. It was kind of like the creature from the Black Lagoon, all that stuff. Yeah, people were pretty scared when they were walking through it.
Good for them.
So this little crater here, there's lots of little thoughts on it. All right, I'm going to share one that is probably more true than the other. So Slaughter Island, how it got its name was kind of like, now you can call the different food places, they come to your house and drop off whatever those things are. You can tell I'm not big into it, so I don't know it, I can't remember. But anyways, back in the day, the old days, they would have, when you had your cattle so forth, and you're looking to slaughter them for the meats and all, they had folks that would come to your house, so you wouldn't have to drive the herd down the street. They'd come to see you. So they needed a place to burn all the bones and everything that's left over. They would dig these little holes here and get them heated up pretty much, and then throw in the carcass that they couldn't do anything with. Though you're not going to find that in any of the history books in Marshfield, but it's from word of mouth, talking to other folks down that have lived a lot longer than I have lived.
Because it's
I
illegal.
read it online though,
You did?
because I put it in, you know, the history, and it explained
It
that.
does.
Okay, very
It
good.
probably was still illegal. That's why they don't put it in writing. Oh, this is a relic. A real.
Yeah. So this is a Willys Jeep, the remains of a Willys Jeep. Super 6-cylinder, not only made in the States, but they were made by Mitsubishi as well. And this fit perfect in the bog because you could drive it around to pick berries and see what needs to be done. People that I know that drove it left it here years ago because it broke down, and they were always going to come back and fix it, and they never did. And instead of that, people just stripped everything that they could off of it, and it's here. But it's one of the things, John, went online, been here a couple times, and looking at it, and yeah, between like 1948 and 50 something, Mitsubishi was another one that built them, and shipped them over here.
Well, it's not a bad. It's a good thing. Like a museum.
Yeah, this is like our outdoor museum, and it's yeah. So this is a pipe, and it's affectionately known as Ned's pipe. And back when we camped out here with the scouts, we needed a source of water. Okay, and think back, 50 years ago. This is all second growth. This was all fields out here. We had our big scout games.
What animal is that?
I'm sorry.
An animal you were just saying.
It's a tiger.
This is not a safari trip.
I don't know.
Right there. Frog? I haven't heard a frog like that.
No, I haven't either.
Well, that seems, actually, it could be.
Might be a woodpecker.
I wish I could have a good for that one. I don't know.
I could try seeing if it's a bird.
There you go.
It's a woodpecker.
So we needed a pipe. We needed water, and the pipe was dug into the ground and had a hand crank on it, and that's how we got our water. The weekend that we were here, it's been filled in. You probably couldn't do it nowadays.
So you were taking with the hand pump here?
Yeah. So I that went at some point in time, and for a while back, you know, I'd heard about the pipe that was still there, and I was trying to find it. And one year, when just didn't give up till we found it. So, so sometimes people think that I embellish a little bit, you know, and maybe that's true. But I found some stuff that tells you there was actually first annual Marshfield Camporee BSA, and it should say Slaughter Island. 1968. Yep.
That is neat.
I know John will get a big kick out of it.
Oh, there it is, whatever it was. It was a bird. Crow? Too big for a crow.
Must be a woodpecker.
Then we won an award.
Uh-huh.
My pack, and it was made up by my neighbors. You know, and then we were called the Tarantulas. So I found the sign in the attic when I was cleaning. So my neighbor made this up for us. The Tarantula Patrol, almost like the ticks. That's where we came in.
Oh my God, this is so
We did a little loop,
Oh my God.
and now we're going left on the rail and on the red trail to the baseball field. So thanks for coming out.
Thanks, Ned.
Thank you.
We'll see you on the trails maybe.